And shalom to all my fellow brothers and sisters out there. It's me again, Damian Power from YeshuaSavesAll.com. Peace be to you in the name of our Father, Yahweh, and our Adon, our Master, the Son of Yahweh, Yeshua HaMashiach. And today we're continuing on with the Ten Commandments. And we're on the eighth commandment, you do not steal. We're going to talk about also including taxes on your job, extortion, and other things of that nature. So thank you for joining in. I pray all is well with everyone. And as always, like I tell people here, I direct everybody to YeshuaSavesAll.com. I'll put the link in the description box for anybody because the video's been getting cut short here. So it gets cut short again today. I encourage everybody to go to YeshuaSavesAll.com. You can click on the free store link or the free blogs, and you'll see the free blogs up there on the free blogs link, and then you can go to the free store link and download free PDFs talking about the spiritual detox, about how the Sabbath day applies to all believers. They're about 17 pages long, but the spiritual detox is about 161 pages long, and all of them are absolutely free. So again, that's YeshuaSavesAll.com. The eighth commandment, Exodus chapter 20, verse 15 says, you do not steal. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 11, do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another. Usually the first thing that comes to people's minds when they hear the word stealing is when someone robs another with a mask and gun, which everyone is already familiar with. But the point of this broadcast is to point out that people may be stealing and are aware of what they are doing. Or maybe they are, but I just want to talk about these things. I remember when I used to watch movies years ago. I watched one called Office Space, which I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with. It was about a guy and his friends who worked at a bank, and the main character of the movie was tired of working for people, so he devised a scheme to subtly take about a fraction of a penny from millions of customers. The percentage was so small that it was supposed to go unnoticed. People will do this in churches, they'll do this in banks, they'll do this in accounting, or wherever the case may be. And this is what we know as embezzlement, which is defined as theft of funds placed in one's trust or belonging to one's employer. So it doesn't belong to you. All of this is stealing, like I just pointed out, because the money that you took never belonged to you to begin with. So simply put, if anything does not belong to you, do not take it, no matter how small it is in your sight. Taking a pencil may lead to stealing towels at a hotel. That may lead to taking utensils from your workplace, and it may lead to embezzlement or car theft. In other words, like people say, give an inch, they'll take a yard. The same thing applies in this situation, because usually if somebody gets away with it, it leads to bigger things. Let's talk about taxes. There are people who will not pay their taxes or even cheat on their taxes by claiming dependents that are not theirs in order to receive a bigger tax return, which is also lying and stealing. We should pay our taxes, but I'm going to explain. Matthew chapter 22, verse 19 through 21. Yeshua says, show me the coin of the tax. And they brought him a silver piece. And he said to them, whose likeness and inscription is this? They said to him, Caesar's. And he said to them, then give to Caesar's what is Caesar's, and give to Elohim what is Elohim's. We pay our taxes as we obey the laws of the land, because we are in the world, but we're not a part of the world. So you pay your taxes and do not cheat as you are living in the world, but never, ever let man's commandments override Elohim's commandments, ever, okay? There are earthly kingdoms, but Yeshua is the king of the Shamayim, of the heavens. We may not like to pay the taxes, but Yeshua showed us that you are to do it, okay? And other issues arise when people give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but then they turn around and give what is Yahweh's to Caesar too. Why? Because most people trust in man who they can see and not Elohim who they can't see. So therefore, they're going to always give, most people are going to give the Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but what belongs to Yahweh, they're going to give that to Caesar too. Let that not be. He sees you. He exists, so always do right, okay? But if he tells you, if anybody tells you to do something to override his commandments, then it's a no-go. You keep Yahweh's commandments first. Now, Matthew chapter 17, verse 24 through 27. And when they came to Kephar Nahum or Nahum, those who received the tax came to Peter and said, does your teacher not pay the tax? And he said, yes. And when he came into the house, Yeshua spoke to him first, saying, what do you think, Simon? From who do the kings of the earth take toll or tax? From their own sons or from the strangers? And Kepha, Peter said to him, from the strangers. Yeshua said to him, then the sons are exempt. But lest we cause them to stumble, go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened its mouth, you shall find a coin. Take that and give it to them for me and you. So he paid the tax, so he said that they would not stumble. Romans 13, 6 through 7. For because of this you also pay taxes, for they are servants of Elohim, attending continually to do these duties. Render therefore to all what is due to them. Tax to whom tax, toll to whom toll, fear to whom fear, respect to whom respect. So don't cheat on your taxes. That's stealing. Yeshua showed us that we must do it. And of course, Paul, being apostle of Yeshua, he just confirmed it as well. So you may not like it, but it's something that we must do. And if you don't, it's breaking the 8th commandment. How about on your jobs, employees and companies? There are many people in the workforce who know someone who does not do the work that is required of them. So the supervisors will put more work upon the one who is trustworthy, the one who's doing the work, knowing that the work will be accomplished. The lazy employee is stealing from the company because they are being paid to do nothing, and the supervisor who allows this behavior is letting them to steal, so they are helping the lazy one to steal, so they're both guilty. Also, there are those who get paid to work in administrative positions but are on the computer for 6 out of the 8 hours of the day, surfing the internet, paying bills, booking vacations, making personal calls, which all constitutes as stealing from the employer. What about piracy? Though I do not personally, I do not watch movies anymore. It's been years now. I do not listen to secular music. And I strongly encourage all believers in Yeshua to do the same. Okay, I've done a broadcast on this talking about it. Are you listening to satanic music? It's on the playlist if you look through it. If you're interested in watching that video, I did it sometime last year. Talks about the darkness of the music industry, but I just want to touch on the piracy issue. Piracy is defined as the unauthorized use or reproduction of another one's work. So people will copy or download music illegally, and the reproduction of that download is allowing people to bypass paying for the work of the artist. It costs money to record or to make a movie. So if they're not getting the money if they're not getting paid, then you are stealing from them, and therefore they can't continue to produce that product because they're not getting their income. And like I said, it's just it's called just right ruling. Like I said, I wouldn't support any of this anymore now that I know better. But I'm just making the point that if you are, then give them what is due to them. Okay, you're stealing from them if you don't. Though, like I said, I would strongly encourage anybody walking with Yeshua to stay away from all of those things because they're pushing the wrong message across. This also applies to those who go into a movie theater, record the movie, and sell it bootleg, and then sell it on the street out of the trunk of their cars or on the streets. People buy these movies knowing how they obtained it, but they are willing to buy the stolen product in order to avoid paying the full price for it. So that person who bought it is just as guilty. What about a hired worker? If you have hired someone to do a job for you, then make sure that you give him the wages of his services. Do not steal and break the eighth commandment by withholding the wages that you owe him. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 13 says, "Do not oppress your neighbor, and do not rob the wages of him who is hired. It is not to remain with you all night until morning." Give him what is due to him. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 14 through 15. "Do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy of your brothers or of the strangers who is in your land within your gates. Give him his wages on the same day. And do not let the sun go down on it, so that he does not cry out against you to Yahweh, and it shall be sin to you." It shall be sin in you. Now, James chapter 5, verse 4. "See, the wages of the workmen who mowed your fields, which you kept back, cry out. And the cries of the reapers have reached the ears of Yahweh of hosts." So you see what happens if you hold on to somebody's wages. If you don't pay them and they cry out to Yahweh, Yahweh will hear them and he will avenge them. Tobiah chapter 4, verse 14. "Do not let the wages of any man who has worked for you remain with you, but give it to him from your hand. For if you serve Elohim, he shall also repay you. My son, be considerate in all that you do, and be wise in all of your ways." Hallelujah. Let's talk about other scriptures about stealing and extortion as well. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. "Do you not know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the reign of Elohim? Do not be deceived, neither those who fornicate, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, not effeminate, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor greedy for gain, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers." And a swindler is a person who uses deception to deprive someone of money or possessions. And all these people shall not inherit the kingdom of the reign of Elohim. And notice he says thieves too. No thieves. Tobiah chapter 2, verse 11 through 13. "And my wife Hannah took women's work to do. And when she had sent them to the owners, they paid her wages, and also gave her a young goat as well. And when it was in my house and began to cry, I said to her, 'Where is this young goat from? Is it not stolen? Return it to the owners, for it is not lawful to eat whatever is stolen.'" It is not lawful to eat whatever is stolen. Tobiah did not know that the goat was given to his wife as part of the wages, and she told him that the goat was not stolen. But notice how he would not eat the goat, knowing that it is not lawful to eat what is stolen. So think about how many people steal hamburgers or food from their jobs and bring them home and eat it, which is not lawful. Or those who will steal TVs, clothing items, music, furniture, and sell these stolen items are just as guilty. But like I said, however many people want the cheap price for things, knowing that these items are stolen. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 2. "Treasures of wickedness, ill-gotten treasures, are of no value, but righteousness delivers from death." Proverbs chapter 20, verse 17. "Bread gained by deceit might be sweet to a man, but afterward his mouth is filled with gravel." So it may be sweet that you got something stolen in the beginning, but afterward your mouth will be filled with gravel. Psalms chapter 62, verse 10. "Do not trust in oppression or extortion, and do not become vain in robbery." And the definition of extortion is the practice of obtaining something by force or threats. So this falls into the category of stealing because you have forced, threatened, or blackmailed someone to give you something that did not belong to you. You know those people that say, yeah, like they did in all those movies and all those days where they would catch somebody doing something and they would say, "All right, you give me $1 million and I won't tell the police, or I won't put this information out there." That's by force or by threat, blackmailing someone to obtain something by false means that didn't belong to you. And then most times after they get it, they continue to ask for more money or whatever after the fact. So it's like you never get out of it. It's all wrong. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, when any being sins and committed a trespass against Yahweh and has lied to his neighbor about a deposit or about a pledge or about a robbery, or shall extort from his neighbor, or has found what was lost and he has lied concerning it, or sworn falsely, so that he sins in regard to any one of these that a man does, then it shall be when he sins and shall be guilty, that he shall return what he took by robbery, or what he has extorted, or the deposit which he has deposited with him, or the lost item which is found, or all that about which he swore falsely. He shall repay its total value and add 1/5 more to it, and give it to whom it belongs on the day of his guilt offering. So it's saying technically if someone steals, not only are they to return the items that they stole in its full value, but also add 1/5 to that in order to make things right and to make that person whole again. So you see how uh, he views stealing. Not only do you have to repay everything and make them whole, you add 1/5 to it. Sirach chapter 5, verse 8. Do not lay your heart upon goods acquired unrighteously, stolen, for they shall not profit you in the day of calamity. Exodus chapter 22, verse 1 through 2. When a man steals an ox or a sheep and shall slaughter it or sell it, he repays 5 cattle for 1 ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. So look at that. You have to pretty much pay 4 or 5 times more than what you took. We know in our modern day society, people will steal TVs, music, or cars that do not belong to them and turn around to sell them to someone else. And that's what that scripture is saying there. They took the ox and the sheep, they stole it, then they slaughtered them, or they sold it. So it doesn't belong to you, but then you sold it away or you slaughtered it. So the TVs and the music and everything that you stole did not belong to you, yet you sold it. Just applying it to our modern day society. Exodus chapter 22, verse 7 through 8. When a man gives silver or goods to his neighbor to guard, and it is stolen out of the man's house, if the thief is found, he repays double. If the thief is not found, then the master of the house shall be brought before Elohim to see whether he has put his hand in his neighbor's goods. So Yahweh has covered both cases on this one as always. If you give your silver to your or goods to your neighbor, and a thief takes it from his house, then the thief, if he is found, he is to repay double for what he took. But if the thief is not found, then the master of the house who the neighbor gave it to must be brought before Elohim to see if he himself has taken the goods or the silver but blamed it on the thief. False scales. False scales is stealing because you are cheating someone out of money or a product in order to increase profits. Okay, it's a false scale. For example, on the so-called black Friday that people will go to, what is it, after Thanksgiving? Department stores and online stores will have big deals saying these items are 50% off. However, most of them will mark up the price of the item to falsely reduce it back to its original price at the register, which gives the customer to actually think that they saved money when in actuality all they did was pay the original price for it. It's a